My name is Highnam, and I've got a 6-minute video clip for a 5-minute speech, so I'm going to start it right away.
Your seatbelt, because emotions are guesses. They are guesses that your brain constructs in the moment where billions of brain cells are working together. And you have more control over those guesses than you might imagine that you do. Now, if that sounds preposterous to you, or kind of crazy, I'm right there with you, because frankly, if I hadn't seen the evidence for myself, decades of evidence for myself, I am fairly sure that I wouldn't believe it either. But the bottom line is that emotions are not built into your brain at birth. They are just built. To see what I mean, have a look at this. Right now, your brain is working like crazy. Your neurons are firing like mad, trying to make meaning out of this so that you see something other than black and white blobs. Your brain is sifting through a lifetime of experience, making thousands of guesses at the same time, weighing the probabilities, trying to answer the question, what is this most like? Not what is it, but what is this most like in my past experience? And this is all happening in the blink of an eye. Now, if your brain is still struggling to find a good match, and you still see black and white blobs, then you are in a state called experiential blindness. And I am going to cure you of your blindness. This is my favorite part. Are you ready to be cured? All right, here we go. All right. So now, many of you see a snake. And why is that? Because as your brain is sifting through your past experience, there's new knowledge there, the knowledge that came from the photograph. And what's really cool is that that knowledge, which you just acquired moments ago, is changing how you experience these blobs right now. So your brain is constructing the image of a snake where there is no snake. And this kind of a hallucination is what neuroscientists like me call predictions. Predictions are basically the way your brain works. It's business as usual for your brain. Predictions are the basis of every experience that you have. They are the basis of every action that you take. In fact, predictions are what allow you to understand the words that I'm speaking as they come out of my mouth. Exactly. Predictions are primal, right? They help us to make sense of the world in a quick and efficient way. So, your brain does not react to the world. Using past experience, your brain predicts and constructs your experience of the world. The way that we see emotions in others are deeply rooted in predictions, right? So to us, it feels like we just look at someone's face and we just read the emotion that's there in their facial expressions the way that we would read words on a page. But actually, under the hood, your brain is predicting. It's using past experience based on similar situations to try to make meaning. This time, you're not making meaning of blobs, you're making meaning of facial movements, like the curl of a lip.
And she goes on to say that we do this for ourselves as well. So we have body sensations that we are aware of, and then we try to interpret those and predict what emotion should I be feeling in this moment, which is an incredibly powerful concept when we talk about self-differentiation, that I'm responsible for my own experience and you're responsible for yours, which is one of the main parts of assertive communication. Equally interesting is the idea of fusion, where I am now fused with my own emotions when I actually shouldn't be. Questions? Are y'all tripped out? Is that what it is?
I don't know, as soon as it faded to black and white again, I lost the snake.
Oh yeah? Which is appropriate, right? Because you're letting go of your understanding of what reality is. When in fact, every situation is different. And we can experience sorrow, right? With the same body sensations where we can experience excitement and anticipation. And it's a simple reframing of that emotional message that will allow me to change my understanding of not only what's happening now, but when I'm in a similar situation in the future, what's happening then.
Do you have an example of sort of an emotion that you might be experiencing when you're under some kind of stress or in some kind of conflict that you might reinterpret through that lens?
So, sorrow. I've lost somebody very, very important to me. I feel this heaviness in my stomach. I feel that my knees are kind of weak. I feel a bit queasy. I could determine that that is a sense of excitement for the next chapter of their being. Yeah.
Not a question, but a statement. But if you are, is anybody is trying to communicate this kind of concept to kids, the Inside Out movie by Pixar does a really good job where they start to learn that they can experience sad and happy at the same time, and it's a way to try and communicate that in a very simplified way.
I find that a lot of like medications or caffeine can increase heart rate and produce a lot of those feelings of stress in the body, and so that can, in some situations, end up having people experience high levels of fear or anxiety that's triggered by a food or a medication. And I'm just curious if you've found ways to maybe counteract that.
There's a breathing technique called combat breathing, where I'm forcing myself to breathe according to a certain pattern, which mimics the rest and digest physical state. So they teach this to Navy SEALs to calm them in the moment so that they can refine their rational prefrontal cortex thinking. I'm doing it.
Well, thank you very much. We're